Good evening and welcome to Channel 6 News, live from the city of Jerusalem. It has just been confirmed that Jesus, the one they were calling the Messiah, was executed by crucifixion. His death occurred at about 3 this afternoon. We are now able to bring you a special report from various witnesses who were able to shed some light on whose fault Jesus' premature death was. First, we are able to get an interview with His Lordship Caiaphas, the high priest who was responsible for the arrest and trial of Jesus of Nazareth.
Thank you for welcoming me to this court. I felt that it was important for me to be here, even though I do, of course, have a very busy schedule. This has been a most unfortunate situation. The people in the crowds were getting quite out of hand, and this Jesus questioned my authority. He would have caused terrible problems if he had not been stopped. I am the high priest appointed by God, and he dared to question my authority. In cases such as this, his death was inevitable. Jesus, by his own actions, brought about his own downfall. He has only himself to blame.
Caiaphas was not able to sign the death warrant needed for Jesus' execution. This needed to be signed by the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. A very revealing exclusive interview with his wife follows.
Last night I had a dream. Jesus was in it. He was innocent. I knew he was innocent. I told my husband Pontius Pilate, I told him, Jesus is innocent, have nothing to do with his death. Pilate, my husband, is the Roman governor of Judea. That's his job, and what a job. These Jews, with their rituals and customs, are a nightmare to govern. So they came to him with an execution order. They brought Jesus before my husband. I was curious. I waited behind a curtain. I listened and I watched. My husband questioned him. Jesus had presence, dignity. He was an innocent man. But these religious leaders are a tricky bunch. So my husband took it out to the common people. He went outside where the crowd had gathered and he asked them, "What shall I do with this Jesus?" But the religious leaders had got to them and they started to scream and shout, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" My husband took a bowl of water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. He was showing them that this innocent man's blood was not on his hands. He signed the execution order, but it was not his fault. It was not Pilate's fault. Last night, I had a dream.
As is the custom at this time of year, Pilate offered a free pardon to a criminal, even though he thought Jesus would be chosen to get the free pardon. The crowd instead chose Barabbas, convicted of many crimes and awaiting execution. Here is Barabbas now with his side of the story.
Listen, I had nothing to do with it. You can say what you like, it's one crime I did not commit. Well, I got a free pardon, didn't I? And I can't say I'm bothered. What happened. I deserved to die. Liar, cheat, thief, murderer, and all he'd done was to say that he was the Son of God. Well, if he is the Son of God, I want you to know that it's not my fault. You'd have done the same in my position. What did you expect me to say? Free pardon? No thanks. Listen, I've got to get out of here. It ain't safe for the likes of me.
And what of the close followers of Jesus? What do they have to say? We were able to get this exclusive interview with Judas, a close friend and follower of Jesus, who is said to have taken 30 pieces of silver as payment to betray Jesus to the authorities. He led the soldiers to where Jesus was and marked him out by greeting him with a kiss.
Oh, what have I done? What have I done? I only meant to force his hand, to make him show his strength. They tricked me with their fancy words and promises. I was deceived. They paid me 30 pieces of silver to say who he was, to betray him. I shouldn't have done it. I tried to give the money back. I tried. He was my friend. It was not my fault. It was not my fault. Oh, God. It was not my fault.
During Jesus' final hours on the cross, Jesus was surrounded by a crowd of onlookers. Let's hear from a member of the crowd.
My fault? No, of course not. But I was there, watching. I saw him, that Jesus, right in the middle of it all. I saw them beating him with sticks. He was barely able to stand, bleeding and bruised. A thorn of crowns crammed onto his matted hair. I heard the crowd shouting and Pilate trying to wiggle out of his responsibility. They say he washed his hands. Pilate, he wanted to make sure no one blamed him. He's a silly fool. Course they blame him. Everyone blames the Romans. They took Jesus out, him carrying his cross like some beast of burden stumbling along. Now me, I always like to pop down to a nice crucifixion. There's not much entertainment on in Jerusalem, so we all walk out of the city to watch. Well, there was quite a crowd gathered there, and a lady was handing out cheese and pickle flatbread. I was in a good position. I could see everything. There were 3 of them, and Jesus was nailed right in the middle. They stripped him and stretched them out on rough wooden crosses like usual. The other 2 were common criminals, but they reckoned Jesus was innocent, done nothing wrong. Well, I'm not sure about that. A man near me shouted out, "He saved others, why can't he save himself?" And I thought that was quite clever. So then I shouted, "Show us a miracle now then, Jesus." And I think everybody thought I was a bit of a wit because they all laughed. After that, though, he got a bit boring. He just hung there, groaning. Said some stuff about forgiveness. Called God his Father. Oh, although when I was about to clear off home, something very odd happened. It was the middle of the afternoon, bright hot day, when suddenly the sky went dark, like it was night time, and a cold wind blew. It must have been about the time he died. Fair spooked me out, so I left in a hurry. I'll be back next week, I expect, though. I like a nice crucifixion. Course it wasn't my fault. Nothing to do with me. I was just standing by, watching. Nothing wrong with that, is there? Watching.
And finally, we were able to hear from a soldier, a centurion whose job it was to execute Jesus.
You have to understand that I was just doing my job. I was following orders, and we don't make mistakes. We've been trained. When we put someone on a cross to die, however long it takes, they die. But this man was different. He was unlike anyone else I'd ever met. I had to execute him, but I did not condemn him. I was just following orders. If you ask me, I say that I believe he truly was the Son of God. There was something about him. I knew who he was, but I had to execute him. I was just doing my job. It was just my job.
Well, it looks like they all played a part in Jesus' death. But who do you think is to blame? This is Channel 6, signing off in the subdued city of Jerusalem.